Hi, Y Scholars. Welcome to week 19 of study group, Studying Effectively, How to Identify Concepts in Learning. So to begin again, we'll go over our vision and mission. So our vision is to elevate people's growth mindset so we all achieve higher ambitions. And our mission, as always, is to guide first-gen high school students to the pursuit and obtain a college education. So moving forward, just to really reiterate why we are here, our purpose for study groups. Again, it is to increase our connections with other Y Scholars, improve our student success skills. So again, really use the relationships and tools we learn from one another and work to better ourselves. And last but not least, guide you to practice your growth mindset. So again, being willing and open to change and working to really enhance your own livelihood, your own academic success. So again, these are our three purposes for study groups. So to begin today, we're just going to review some of the previous week's material. So last week we talked about note-taking methods. So again, the 5 YSP choice note-taking methods, we discussed when to apply them when they're most appropriate. So we're going to go ahead and review that here. So the first one was the outline method. So again, the outline method was that we have one main title on the top of our paper, and we then categorize between the main topic, subtopic, and supporting facts. So again, it's really the indentation working to our benefit here to really organize and structure our notes. So that is the outline method. And again, it just shows that we're engaged and we're able to differentiate between main topics, subtopics, supporting facts. So again, it's our own effort into recognizing the level of importance in each material presented. The next method was the Cornell method. So the Cornell method is different here in that our paper is actually structured into 4 parts, where we have a title once again, then we have a division between keywords and questions on the left-hand side of our paper, and the main notes and key thoughts on the right side. So again, this takes up a large portion of our note sheet here. And then on the bottom, the key difference here is that the Cornell method has a summary. So again, this is good in really separating and gauging our main focus on those notes. But again, the key point here is that the Cornell method really pushes for that summary. So again, that causes you to have to go back and reflect on those notes to really grasp your understanding and really tie it down in a few sentences. So again, these could be good in that when you're reviewing for tests, it's good to really briefly scan those summaries after having really interpreted it and taking the time to reflect on what you found to be important, what's really stressed in your notes, and how those questions are addressed in your notes and key thoughts. Moving forth, we also had the boxes method. So the boxes method here is again about categorizing your notes. So here it's in that you have different topics, maybe they're all related and maybe they're all different. So again, they're really separated by the boxes. So this is in that maybe you would use this for certain topics where it's not as relational, but again, they're all on the same week's coverage. So it's good to use that when maybe each point is its own distinct concept. Another one of the 5 methods preferred by YSP is the charts method. So this is good when you have a lot of information or those classes that tend to really test your ability to memorize. So typically this tends to be maybe like these STEM courses or history, in that there's a lot of vocab, a lot of information for you again to remember. So again, that organization and really stress on how to use each different vocabulary term or when each date is important, it can be really utilized here in the charts method, where you have a section for the method and you have a description and you have further detail explaining that method, that term. And another method we mentioned was the MAPS method. So as a study group, we kind of came to the conclusion that maybe the math method is good for maybe English courses, in that you have topics that are all interrelated, and it's up to you to really use your creativity and really strategize how to connect each subject. So again, this is just kind of best or most appropriate for, again, those classes that allow you to be more flexible and really determine your own kind of interpretation of how things flow. So besides the different note-taking methods, we also highlighted some tools you could use to really enhance those notes, to really make sure that they're optimal for your understanding. And that comes in one of the forms as being visuals. So really visuals are really capturing your attention. So they're another way to kind of, again, use your creativity to get that information to be retained. So visuals, again, kind of save you the time of having to write a surplus of text and instead get the main point in an image. So in the same regard, symbols and abbreviations also help you in that they are more efficient, where you could really shorten those terms that don't necessarily pertain to that information delivered, but instead are kind of like the supporting or like supplemental words. So again, just by shortening this, it saves you time and gives you more opportunity to really listen to what you're hearing, to really focus on the information being presented to you, instead of just being focused again on writing down everything. And another tool is just to how to be more intimate with your text. And that comes in the form of underlining, highlighting, and coloring. So again, using those tactics or skills to really gauge your focus, to really stress what you find is important and really make those colors or concepts popped out of the paper. So which note-taking method will you use? Really, we should reconsider what we mean by this question, because it's not what method you will be using, but instead, what is your best method of taking notes in this situation? So again, it should come out of you to really gauge and your focus on that really specific subject and try to deem what's most appropriate, what's most fit, and use that note-taking method that's going to be best at capturing those main ideas. So again, it's not what method you will be using, but what is most appropriate to the situation you find yourself in. So as mentioned before, today's topic is studying effectively, how to identify concepts in learning. Our session will be successful if we learn how studying concepts learns to increase your understanding and learn how to begin identifying concepts in our learning. So, the importance of understanding concepts. What exactly is a concept? This may be difficult to really pinpoint or really define. So today we're going to work on defining what concepts are and how to distinguish them from other details in our work. So what do you think the difference is between a concept and a fact? Some suggestions are that concepts, again, are not necessarily proven, but instead maybe require some effort or are more flexible in their interpretation, whereas facts are grounded. They're more, again, proven. But once more, as we develop and progress more into today's study group, we'll distinguish what these differences are between concepts and facts. So moving forward, a fact is information that is presented as is. So some examples include 1 + 1 = 2. Christopher C. sailed to America in 1492. And the mitochondria is one organelle of a cell. So again, these are things that are proven. They're not necessarily arguable because they are known to be true. So you cannot argue that 1 + 1 is not 2 because, again, scientifically, mathematically, that has been proven. So there's no other kind of scenario or appropriate response to the question, what is 1 + 1 besides 2? In that case, a concept tends to be connections that make meaning of the facts. So it moves beyond what is proven, and it allows you to kind of interpret or, again, reiterate those facts in your own words. So some examples include how colonialism affected political power, persuasive writing, and how photosynthesis works. So again, an example is persuasive writing in that you're arguing for your stance. So it's you taking that effort to really get your own opinion across, to try to convince others. So your understanding is not necessarily true, but again, that's your own interpretation of those facts that you happen to really ground. And it's, again, not proven, but instead you are convinced of this. So that's how a concept works. It's your own kind of interpretation of the facts presented to you. So some people ask, why is memorization not enough? So the problem with just memorizing facts is that they can't explain why or how of concept. And memorization usually is short term. So again, we can't rely on our memory or that short-term memory to really display that we understand the concept. Because again, often not, when we're not really reinforcing that material, we tend to forget. So out of sight, out of mind. Besides that, moving to the first bullet point, facts don't explain the why and the how. So I could tell you 1 + 1 = 2, but can you answer why 1 + 1 = 2? It takes more of your logic to explain that, more of your own interpretation and understanding of the fact that 1 + 1 is equal to 2. So when we study concepts, we're able to explain how X functions, explain the consequences of X, and draw connections between X and other concepts. So again, we understand and can come to an conclusion on how a certain topic functions, the purpose behind it, and explain the consequences. So those benefits to understanding. And again, we could draw connections. So we could see if this is something we could relate to and something else that we know to be true, if there's relationships between certain facts. So this is why concepts are important to study. So again, studying for understanding means that you're using both facts and concepts. So again, you're taking those facts and using your time wisely and really grounding your understanding. You're trying to, again, find that function, that really purpose behind those facts. So let's make concepts fun. We could do this by really using the acronym FUN. So to really gauge and make sure that we're identifying the concept behind certain facts, we are going to use the acronym FUN, and that is, what is the function of X? What does X help me understand? Is X new or not? So again, the acronym FUN is meant to kind of test if you are actually working to come to those concepts. So again, it stands for function, understand, new or not. So the guiding question for function is, what function does X have in the class I am learning? So what function does 1 + 1 have in your math class? That's to kind of build those fundamentals, right? To get you to understand how the addition of two matters are greater. Moving forward, U is understanding. How does X help me understand the class better? What issues does it explain or solve? It again kind of enforces the idea that when there's more, when you put two together, there's more. So there's a benefit, there's an increase. And guiding questions, is X new or not? Does it relate to something I already know? So again, it's important that to really make sure that you are identifying concepts in your learning, that you are making those patterns or connections. You're really taking that time and putting an effort to seeing how everything is related. Again, and this is to solidify that information, solidify that fact, and really ground your own understanding. So again, the guiding question behind N is new or not. So when we learn concepts, we're able to build on past concepts that we've learned before. So this is conceptual learning, and it's all about making those connections between the different ideas and using and being able to apply them to a range of situations. So today's study group activity is to pick one of your classes. Next, you're going to go ahead and jot down some facts that you've learned about
a specific topic that week. And lastly, what you're going to do is try to identify the concepts of what you learned. So go ahead and apply that FUN acronym. So again, function, understand, new or not. So it could typically be tricky to know what concepts we're learning if we don't know how to ask the right questions. This is why we're implementing the FUN acronym. So knowing how to make meaning of the facts we're learning is critical and effective in study. And again, FUN is an acronym to help us remember those guiding questions and identify the concepts of our study. So thank you for joining study group today, and I'll see you all next week.